Assalamu Alaikum. Hello everyone, I am Husna Jolay and thank you so much for clicking to this video. I am here with a much requested video. This video will be all about Qur'an journaling, inshallah. So I shared with you guys that I started doing this journal method called the Qur'an Journaling, I think 2 months ago now. And ever since I shared it with you guys, I have been getting a lot of DMs and comments for me to just post a video that is related on Qur'an journaling, and here I am, inshallah. I will be sharing like all the links of the PDFs, the Qur'an meaning, the Qur'an PDFs, and then inspirations to get from Pinterest. Like all the details and the links will be down in the description box. And in today's video, I'll just be talking about Qur'an journaling and how I started doing it, what Qur'an journaling is, and I hope you guys will have fun, and I hope it will be a beneficial video for everyone who is watching this. Okay, so my iPad will be with me today in this video because I do Qur'an journaling on this baby. But just to note that to Qur'an journal, you don't need to have, it's not mandatory to have an iPad or a laptop. You can also just, go to a stationery and grab a notebook and start Qur'an journaling. First of all, I want to share you guys my experience on how I study the Qur'an. For the past 3 years, as especially a young Muslim, I started studying the Qur'an, not just reading it in its original language, which is Arabic, but I also started studying it, studying its meaning, trying to contemplate about the verses, about the ayahs and the surahs, especially the mysterious stories in it. And when I shared with you guys that I study Qur'an on daily basis, you guys were like, how do you study Qur'an, Husna? How can one study the Qur'an? So first of all, I want to share with you guys the methods I tried throughout this whole past 3 years regarding studying Qur'an. So the first method I tried was, so basically I downloaded the Turkish version of Qur'an PDF on my laptop, and then I downloaded a note-taking application on my iPad. And then what I used to do was for half an hour, sometimes for 45 minutes to an hour, I used to open my laptop, read the Turkish meaning of the Qur'an on my laptop, basically read the PDF I downloaded. And then if there was any ayahs, verses that caught my attention, I used to quickly open my iPad and take down the notes of that ayah, that particular verse. And that went really amazing. That was my first ever time actually reading the meaning of Qur'an. And until that, I remember I had no idea about the verses and about I even had no idea what Surah Fatiha actually meant. So that time I remember how fascinated I was about the Quran, about our holy book. It just left me in awe. And then I especially Surah Al-Kahf. That's how Surah Al-Kahf became my favorite surah. Well, obviously all surahs are amazing. Every single one of them are uniquely amazing in its own way. But Surah Al-Kahf particularly caught my attention because in that surah, Allah especially mentions about young believers, who are in the way of Allah, in the path of Allah. And it just, I don't know, I just related to it so much. I was like, oh my God, this is such a, heartwarming surah. And then also there is the story of Dhul Qarnayn, the story of Musa alayhi salam and Khidr. I also have a tafakkur session about that in my previous videos. I will also be linking that down below or somewhere here in the corner. And yeah, so basically that was the first time I started, studying the Quran. It was a good method. It definitely made me fall in love with Quran, alhamdulillah. And then for a while I gave a break because remember I was in the process of studying for the uni entrance exams. So I think 6 to 7 months later, I started another method. So in this method, what I did was I only just read the meaning of Quran, but I did not take any type of notes. I downloaded a PDF on my iPad, Quran translation PDF. This time it was in English because I also wanted to improve in my English. So I downloaded an English Quran translation PDF here in my iPad, and all I did was I just read it and highlighted some parts and then just read it. No taking notes, no super deeply contemplating about verses. My first priority about that method was just reading the meaning of Quran without taking any extra notes or anything, just focusing on the meaning, actual meaning of the verses. And that also went cool, it went chill, it went really fast because I didn't take any notes. Reading is faster than writing, so I don't know, I quickly finished that method. And then the third method I tried was it was the same PDF I downloaded, but this time I started taking note on the PDF. Let's say that here on the screen there's Surah Al-Fatiha. So what I used to do was just read the meaning, start reading the meaning. If there was a verse that caught my attention, I would quickly take note, like, oh, this is what Allah means in this verse, or like, oh, so this is something interesting about this verse. Like, I would take note at that instant about the verse or about the chapter I was reading. And that method, well, I'm going to be totally honest, it was not the best or not the most effective one. So I unfortunately had to leave it halfway. So I was like, you know what, I can't do this. So I stopped there. But then, like, still, I wanted to study Quran, but I was out of methods. Like, I was like, what am I going to do right now? Should I go back to the first one, which was actually the most effective one? Or the thing is, I just wanted to actually contemplate about the verses. And all the three methods I try, I could not do that in any of them. So I was like, what am I going to do? Because I wanted to add my own thoughts to the verses, or, like, just deeply contemplate about Quran. Because I know that Quran is not only the verses, but also the meaning behind the verses. And then I used to oftentimes hear about this thing called Qur'an Journaling, and it never actually caught my attention until I did some, researches about it. So Qur'an Journal is basically same as normal journaling. So if you guys don't know, I also do bullet journaling. So let me quickly show you guys what bullet journaling is. So this, for example, is a notebook. As you can see, I do this physically and this digitally, and that's probably only one of the differences between them. But anyways, so here, this is my Qur'an journal and this is my bullet journal. And when I explain to you guys both of them, they are very similar to each other. So what you do is you grab a notebook and then you start decorating it according to your own style. And you just plan your life, your days, your months. You make vision boards like this, See, that is bullet journaling. And now I'm going to show you guys my Qur'an journal. This is my Qur'an journal. As you can see, overall, the method is very similar. You basically decorate it according to your style, your aesthetic, and the rest is just, this is about Qur'an and that is about life. This is digital, that is physical, but the overall mindset, the logic is the same. Like, you decorate it according to your own style, you write your own thoughts down, and everything just belongs to you, basically. And I just love that about overall journaling. When you journal, it's all about you. Like, no one's opinion, no one's style, no one's anything, just you. Now, for example, the difference between this planner right here, like this planner, and a normal ready planner is that is ready. Like, the weekly spreads, the monthly spreads are already ready, and that all you have to do is to just write down your to-do list and everything. But this one is not like that. The pages of this is empty, and you have to make your own weekly spread according to your own style and aesthetic. You can decorate it on your own and then make to-do list. I hope that makes sense, you guys. So that's why I just genuinely love journaling. It's all about just you and your thoughts and your style. Anyways, now back to Qur'an journaling. Qur'an journaling is basically you dedicate your notebook only on Qur'an. It's all about Qur'an, and then you write your thoughts down about your verses. If you watch tafsir videos on YouTube, you take notes down about that tafsir or about that lecture you're listening to, which is about a chapter or a verse in Quran. So that is basically what Qur'an journaling is. Now I'm going to show you guys quickly my own Qur'an journal, and then I will explain how I do it. The thing about Qur'an journaling is there's no a specific way to do it. Since it is all about you and your thoughts and your own style, you can only, this is hard to explain, you guys. There's not a specific way to Qur'an journal. All I can say is that you start holding a notebook, and that notebook is completely only about Qur'an. And what you do in that notebook is you write down your thoughts and important parts about the chapter, the surah you're reading in Qur'an, or the verse, the ayah you're reading in Qur'an. I'm going to show you mine, and I think you guys will exactly understand what I'm trying to say or explain right now. Okay, so first of all, I want to share what app I use to take down notes. It's this one. It's called Note. So I'm gonna click on Note right here, you are right now in my Qur'an journal. So this is the main page. As soon as I open my Qur'an journal, it says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. As you can see, my style is pretty soft. A lot of pink, obviously, if you can't tell, it's my favorite color. And then some shades of green, because I think the mixture of pastel green and pastel pink is very pretty, resembles spring. And then it says Husna's Qur'an Journal in the middle. And then I have my favorite verse right underneath Qur'an Journal. It says, and verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace, which I think is so beautiful and true. I also doodled some flowers, as you can see, in different shades of green and then pinks, and I just love it. And I directly started with Surah Al-Fatiha. So some prefer to, write down their thoughts about Quran, give some information about what Quran is and the Quran's importance, but I directly jumped into the first surah and its meaning and my thoughts about the first surah. See, you guys, it's very different. Everyone does it according to their own style, and this was my style. So it completely depends on you, your style. So let me show you guys how I overall write down my thoughts and do Qur'an journaling about surahs. So first of all, I obviously write the surah's name and the meaning of it in English. And then in this little note page looking doodle thingy, I write the importance and the benefits of that surah and some facts about that surah. So for example, some facts about Surah Al-Fatiha is it is called the mother of Quran. And then it includes all the messages Quran basically gives to us Muslims. It kind of summarizes the whole Quran. That is what Fatiha is most famous for. And it's also a dua, by the way. Forgot to include that. So usually in this note, paper kind of thingy, I note down the facts and the importance of the surah. And then I jump onto the favorite verse. And in Surah Al-Fatiha, my favorite verse was guide us to the straight path. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. I think it's such a beautiful verse. And then I love this little, things, let me say, about Qur'an journaling. You kind of ask yourself questions. For example, what is the straight way? And then in the same surah, Allah describes the straight way as well. What is the straight way? It is basically the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who earned your anger, nor of those who went astray. So Qur'an journal basically is like talking with you, or I don't know, you guys, it's very different. When you journal, just write down your thoughts when you're in a bad mood, it's something like that, but not exactly that. For example, I asked myself what is the straight way? And it's something it's sort of I'm talking with myself. I don't know, I think that's beautiful, you guys. Now, moving on, after that, I have this little did you know corner. And in the did you know corners, I usually prefer to write hadiths about that particular surah. I mean, if there are any hadiths about that surah, I usually write it down on the did you know part of the Qur'an journal. So about the did you know part of Surah Al-Fatiha, basically, it is described in a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh. Allah the Exalted said, I have divided the prayer Al-Fatiha into two halves between myself and my servant, and my servant shall have what he asks for. This is the hadith. This is what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said regarding Surah Al-Fatiha. And I think that's such, it's very beautiful. This hadith also motivated me to recite Surah Al-Fatiha slowly while I'm praying, because Allah literally says, if my servant recites Al-Fatiha, I will give him what he asks for. And what do we ask for when we are reciting Al-Fatiha? We ask for the straight way. Can you understand the logic there? It's crazy. You guys, Islam makes so sense. I don't know, oh my God, I got goosebumps right now. Moving on, and then after the did you know part is done, now I finally start writing my thoughts about some verses that caught my attention. So there were two verses that caught my attention regarding Surah Al-Fatiha. The first one was literally the first ayat, the first verse in Surah Al-Fatiha, and it was in the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. And then another ayah that caught my attention was the third verse, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most gracious, the most merciful. So I will also quickly explain you guys why those verses caught my attention. The reason is in the surah, as you can see, I'm reading this part right now, the last part of the whole page. In this surah, Allah describes himself as the most gracious, the most merciful 2 times, which is the first verse and the third verse. He could have just started with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim because the meaning is same, right? It means in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. But he also added the fact that he was the most merciful in the third verse as well, just so we can consistently remind ourselves of how merciful He subhanahu wa ta'ala is. No matter how many sins we have committed in this life, Allah will forgive us the moment we seek His forgiveness. The word Rahman means that He is kind to all human beings, including non-Muslims. You guys, including non-Muslims, and fulfills their needs. He will continue to favor us in this life as He will forgive us again and again. While the word Rahim means solely used for the believers. So Rahman is for all of us, like us Muslims and also the non-believers. But Rahim is only for us. Like there's a special name for us, you guys. I think that's so cool. As Allah will be kind to His believer in this life and in the hereafter. So I hope now we understood the difference between Rahman and Rahim. Oh, that is so beautiful. That is just so beautiful, subhanAllah. Al-Fatiha is a surah that explains Allah's love and mercy towards us in the simplest and best way. When we are reciting Al-Fatiha, we actually are in a conversation with Allah. And this is true. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned it. Like when you are reciting the Fatiha, you're actually in a conversation with Allah. He responds to us after we recite each and every verse of the surah. So pretty. So heartwarming. Like I love it. I love it. And then the same, so basically this was the whole method. I include a facts note right here on the left corner, and then I include my favorite verses, and then I ask myself some questions, which I asked here, which is on the top right corner of the page. And then I have a did you know corner right here, and then I finally start writing down my thoughts about some verses that caught my attention. So this is overall how I Qur'an journal. But some people do it differently, which I will show you guys in a bit from Pinterest. And let's go to the next surah. It's Surah Al-Baqarah. As you can see, the overall logic and the method is same. I have this little notebook right here, as you can see. And it also includes some facts about the Surah Al-Baqarah. And then I have a couple of favorite verses I chose. Again, I'm talking with myself, and I also, include a little emoji says, "We have such a merciful creator." And then I have a did you know corner because there are 2 different hadiths about Surah Al-Baqarah. And then again, I talk with myself. I'm like, new goal, recite Surah Al-Baqarah at least once every week. Don't forget. And then again, I'm talking with myself. And this time it's in Korean. I say, "화이팅," which means you can do it, And then verses that caught my attention. And then I finally start writing my thoughts about some verses. Oh, again, I ask myself questions. So these 2 are the questions I frequently ask myself when I recite verses. The first question I ask is, what is Allah trying to tell me in this verse? And the second question I ask myself is, what is the message I should take from this verse? And as you can see, this is one of the verses that caught my attention. I wrote my whole thoughts down about this only one verse. And then another verse that caught my attention. Again, I'm talking to myself. What did I say? Okay, key questions. What is the hidden message in this verse? That is also a question to ask yourself. When you are reading Quran, what is the message in this verse? Not any message, hidden message. What's the secret about this verse? And let's see what's the verse. Whatever ayah we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, we bring a better one or similar to it. Know you not that Allah is able to do all things? When you read this verse, it's such a simple verse, right? It's like we would like read it and then move on to the next verse. But no, there's a hidden message in this verse. So let me quickly share you guys the hidden message. This verse, in my opinion, is one of those verses which proves that Islam is the true religion. If a man had written Quran, Allah wrote it obviously, there wouldn't have been this kind of verse in the first place. Why? As we can understand from this verse, other holy books are mentioned. Yes, see, whatever ayah, revelation, we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, we bring a better one or similar to it. So basically Allah is talking about the other, like Torah and like Injil. They, however, are not mentioned in a negative way. Let's ponder deeply about it. If a human would have written such a holy book, instead of saying we bring similar to it, it would have been those books are filthy, lie, and man-made. Or the only true book sent by God is Quran. But no, it is clearly not like that, and as a matter of fact, Allah actually hiddenly mentions that He is also the official and actual writer of the other 3 holy books. What I mean is, if a human would have written the Quran, there would never be a positive verse regarding Torah or Bible. This verse that I am reflecting on right now is actually such a short but well thought written verse. The other 3 great holy books were also sent down by Allah. However, after years and years, people changed them, the verses. Furthermore, we can also understand that those verses which people have changed in the past also occurred with Allah's permission. How did I come to this conclusion? It's because whatever revelation we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, Allah literally says that with His permission, the verses of Torah and Injil were changed. The Quran, therefore, is not written by a human, but it is sent to us by the only one God, and Islam is the true religion. See, you guys, that's how I write my thoughts down. And then I have another verse, and then that's the last one, I think. And then Surah Ali Imran, the same method, some facts about the surah, my favorite verses, the did you know part, and then finally writing down about some verses that caught my attention. So this is how I use my Qur'an journal. But obviously when I am Qur'an journaling, on the other hand, I also read the meaning of the Qur'an. Now you might ask, from where do you read it? Is it some kind of PDF or anything? Yes, you guys, it's a PDF. Again, I have linked everything about both Qur'an journaling and the Qur'an translation down below, so please go check it out. And here is the PDF. It's actually, again, in the same application, Note. It's right here. It says English 2. So let me quickly click on that and see. First, what I do is I finish the whole surah, finish reading the whole surah in English. And while I'm reading it, if there's any verse or any verses that caught my attention, highlight it just like that. I have done here. I've highlighted some verses in pink. And then when I am done with reading that surah, I get out from this page and then click on my Qur'an journal and start journaling about that surah and then the verses I have highlighted in that surah. So that's how I do. First, I read the meaning of the whole surah, and then I start, writing down my thoughts about that surah. I just, go like that. Right now, I am in Surah An-Nisa. I just finished reading the whole meaning of Surah An-Nisa, I think last week, and then I started writing down my thoughts about it, and that's how I Qur'an journal, you guys. I think this is the most effective way of studying Qur'an. The first one was also really effective, like the first method I tried, but this one is by far the most effective one. Like Qur'an journaling is what my soul really needed, you guys. I quickly also want to show you guys some other inspirations I got from Pinterest. So all you do is just go and search Qur'an Journal on Pinterest, and this is what you will come across. All credits go to the creators of these photos right here. This one is a digitalized version. See, some people watch tafsirs, like for example, this person who wrote down these watched Numan Ali Khan's tafsir about, the Quran, and it's hikmah in the Quran. And wow, such beautiful notes, right? This is how some people do. And some people do it physically. They, do it in a notebook. And this is how they do, like Surah Al-Kahf, and then write down thoughts, lessons from the story of the people of the cave, and, see, everyone does it according to their own style and aesthetic. And mine was like that, And that was basically how I Qur'an journal, you guys. Nothing like super special or super like hard. It is very convenient. I definitely recommend, especially my teenager, young fellow Muslims out there, please start studying Qur'an. I promise you will gain a whole new perspective about Islam. And I don't know, it will heal you, you will change for better. And you will become more mature, you will look at life very differently, more simply, and you will actually find your true purpose. I know you, like most of you guys, want to start Qur'an journaling, and now I believe, inshallah, after this video, you will start to do Qur'an journaling. Just like I said, iPad is not necessary. You can also just grab a notebook and start journaling. Qur'an journaling. I hope this video was beneficial, and also I want you guys to share some photos with me if you actually start Qur'an journaling after this video. And I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Stay safe. Ma salam. Bye.